Welcome back to day number 3 of our series on egg health. I wanted to talk today about the hormone that you might have been told everything is normal and then healing opportunities are missed. This especially is important when you're dealing with egg health. So excited for you to dig in today. And also if you have low AMH, high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, digging into this is key for your success. Excited for you to listen. I regularly speak with 5 to 10 couples per week who are struggling to have their baby. And although we want to help everyone, we only have 4 spots available per month to work with us. I would like to invite you and your partner to a Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call. And this call is for you if you meet at least one of these criteria. You've been trying to get pregnant for at least 2 years. You've been through at least one failed IUI or IVF. This calls for action takers. If you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. If you're seriously considering working with us, go to FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. That's FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. Then you'll be all booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. There's a lot of information about which supplements are right for fertility. And like most couples I speak with, you are probably taking a lot of supplements. But are these supplements optimizing or harming your fertility? That's why we recommend professional grade supplements without harmful dyes, fillers, or top allergens so that you can prepare your body in the best way for pregnancy. And as you may know, we take a functional approach to fertility. And while supplements are included in your customized protocols, which are based on testing, they are only part of the equation because there's no pill you can take that will out-supplement the basics, such as poor diet, dysregulated sleep, either moving too much or not enough, and not dealing with chronic stress. So we do recommend basic supplements for both men and women. And these are essential starters that you need to have right now to optimize your preconception health. And I'm excited to offer you a special discount at our Fab Fertile store. You'll receive 15% discount on our professional grade supplements. So simply go to Fab Fertile Store, that's F-A-B, fertilestore.com, to access the basic supplements so that you can prepare your body for pregnancy success without wasting time and money on supplements that may not be right for you. Go to Fab Fertile Store, that's fabfertilestore.com, and save 15% on your order. Hey there. Thanks so much for listening to the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast. And I've got a favor to ask you. If you are enjoying learning about the functional approach to fertility, consider going to iTunes and rating and reviewing the podcast. This is how it helps the show reach more people that are struggling with infertility, knowing that there's another approach that really can get to the bottom of why it's not working in the first place. So all you need to do is, if you're on the app or the desktop, just go in and consider leaving a 5-star rating and leave a review. And there is step-by-step instructions in the show notes showing you exactly how to do that. So if you can just take a few minutes, just take the few minutes right now. You can pause this recording, come back, leave the review. It would really mean the world to me and help others that are on the fertility journey as well. Take care. I didn't need to go to donor eggs. Obviously, I don't regret it. I have beautiful children. I could have done things differently, restored. I was still cycling back in my 20s. I could have looked at my health, the environmental toxins, the stress I was under.
Many women are being told their eggs are too old. That's often merely an assumption that's not based on actual evidence. The reason being that there is no direct test of egg quality. You can't test egg quality.
It's the man who's got a food sensitivity or he has a zinc deficiency.
Like, there can be a root cause to these symptoms that are, quote unquote, period problems, that the doctor will pass you a pill without any question of why.
And some part of you knows that if you can reframe your journey from not want to struggle, or if it is struggle, learn how to embrace the struggle. Learn how to embrace it.
Most conditions in the child occur during the 9 months of development. It's the genetic switches are turned on or turned off, and they're pre-programmed. So you are in such a powerful, amazing position to do amazing things for your kids.
Why is IVF the first step? Because we believe it should be the last step. Welcome to Get Pregnant Naturally, where functional medicine and natural fertility solutions will help you get pregnant and have your baby. Hey there, I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fab Fertile and your host. I believe the functional approach is the first step for anyone struggling with infertility, and my aim is to help you get pregnant naturally. Today, I'm welcoming Justine Altman back to the podcast, and we're digging into thyroid dysfunction and the link to egg health. So this episode is for you as if you've been told your thyroid is normal, but you're experiencing miscarriage and still unable to conceive. You were taking thyroid medication, but because there is a thyroid dysfunction and you're not sure what to do next to optimize your chances of pregnancy success. You have thyroid symptoms, but you don't know how to address the thyroid so you can get pregnant naturally. And thanks so much for listening. I'm so thankful you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe. And if you know someone else who is on the fertility journey, please share this podcast with them. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to day number 3 of our egg health series. Hey, Justine.
Hey, Sarah.
Awesome. So we are talking today about thyroid. This is a lot of times where we see that you may have been told that your thyroid is normal. So we're looking at reference ranges, the functional reference ranges. So it's really, they're tighter reference ranges. And for people that are healthy, as opposed to the conventional reference ranges, maybe they're wider. And for people with disease, the functional reference range will flag it earlier. So let's talk about thyroid dysfunction and really why it's important for egg health. It can be tied to ovulation disorder, so it can interfere with the release of the egg from the ovaries, irregular menstrual cycles, increased risk of miscarriage. And also, if there's thyroid antibodies, it can lead with difficulty with egg fertilization. So it's the thyroid, we see it all the time. And you probably heard us talk a lot about on the podcast here. There's 3 different things that we see. So either people with Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, we see more than hyper, although we have seen some hypothyroidism, and then subclinical thyroidism. So let's talk about, first of all, let's talk about the functional reference range, because many people your physician may just look at the TSH and then not look at the full panel, and then the healing opportunities may be missed. We are not here to diagnose any kind of thyroid issue. We are just to flag things, which then you would talk to your physician about, and if medication is necessary. And in the conventional side of things, typically the TSH is looked at, and then medication is given, and the full panel is not explored. So can you talk about the functional reference ranges?
Yeah, so this is a really common thing. It's part of it, at least in the United States, is driven by challenges related to insurance, right? So your doctor's only allowed to order a TSH without having to justify a reason for ordering a bigger panel. And then only if the TSH is outside of their Western range can they order a T3 and a T4. And only if those T3 and T4s are out of range can then they order the rest of the thyroid panel. And so we're really sort of stuck in this system that doesn't really allow us to really explore things at an optimal level. And so with the TSH, especially given that whether or not you're allowed to get further testing is based on that range is really problematic, because for a doctor, they're looking at a range anywhere between like a 0.45 and a 4.5. So this is like between a half and a 4.5. From a functional perspective, we really know that we really want to be between about a half and a 2. And in reality, even as those words are coming out of my mouth, I would say if I saw someone who had a TSH of close to a half, I would still be feeling like that was low. We really want to be somewhere between a 1 and a 2. Mm-hmm. And so that's a much tighter range. Like a 1 to 2 is much narrower than a half to a 4.5. And I've seen some ranges for doctors even go as high as a 6, right? And so it's a much narrower range. And so I'm here to tell you, if you've got a TSH that's at like a 4, there is something that's not right. Whether or not you're in danger, I don't think so, right? And that's what the doctor's looking for. Is it bad enough that it's diagnosable as a disease and that we should do something about it, medication-wise? And from a functional perspective, we really have a completely different view on this. We really want to know, is something out of balance? Is something trending in the wrong direction? And let's nip that in the bud. Let's send that guy back in the right direction so that your body's just humming along the way that it's supposed to be. But that's really just the tip of the iceberg with the TSH, right? So the TSH is a thyroid that our pituitary makes. Actually, it's not a thyroid hormone specifically. Our pituitary makes it. It tells the thyroid to make more thyroid hormone. And the thyroid turns around and makes T4, which is a version of thyroid hormone, in response to the pituitary sending that TSH signal. And so when that happens, thyroid makes the T4, and then the body has to convert T4 to T3. And T3 is sort of like this final end product that's the version of thyroid hormone that our body can actually use, that can actually be delivered all over the body and given to sort of every cell in the body. But in order to make T3, to convert T4 to T3, our liver has to be in good shape, and we have to have enough selenium. And in order to make the T4 to begin with, we have to have enough iodine. And so from a functional perspective, we're looking not only, what are the levels and do we have some lowness in some things or some highness in some things, but also why? Why do we have lowness or why do we have high ranges? So always we're looking at, do we have nutrient deficiencies or do we have some challenges with the liver? Do we have, because there's a lot of sort of different areas along this sort of thyroid pathway that have potential to have little hiccups. And so if we can remove the hiccups, we can iron out the kinks, everything just starts to work better. And then there are even a few more markers that are further down the line. So we've got reverse T3 is one that we look at very often. This is one that's even hard to get sometimes. It's like your doctors often won't order it no matter what. But this one, again, it's sort of an adjunct thyroid hormone. It's the opposite of T3. And so when the body produces reverse T3, it's doing that in response to stress. It's basically the body putting on the brakes, saying, slow down, we've got to deal with some stress here. And what happens is reverse T3 fills those T3 receptors on our cells. And if that happens, then we can't get enough T3. So even if your thyroid's producing enough thyroid hormone and your liver's converting enough, that thyroid hormone can't get into your cells because reverse T3 is blocking. It's like, there's a lock and key and the lock has already been filled with the reverse T3 key. And again, that's your body. It's saying we want our metabolism to be slowed down. We perceive stress here. We perceive a safety threat and we want to slow down. We want to reassess. We want to remove traumas. We want to remove toxicities. We want to remove anything that's contributing to inflammation. But in the end, that can result in us feeling very low thyroid. And so that's just one more part of the picture. And then, of course, we've got antibodies, which is yet another part of the thyroid picture, right? So if there are elevated antibodies, it suggests that our body is struggling to recognize thyroid hormone as something that's supposed to be there in our system. The body's gotten confused and starts to think that that thyroid tissue and thyroid hormone is an invader for some reason, perhaps because it's chemically similar to something out there that we also have a sensitivity to. But ultimately, there's a whole lot of stuff that can be going on with the thyroid. We really want to make sure that everything is in tip-top shape and that we don't have any sort of kinks in this whole process that are slowing the thyroid down, which down the road can also lead to challenges with ovulation, with the release of the egg, with the irregular menstrual cycles and things like that.
And if some of the thyroid markers are off, it could be subclinical thyroid issues, not actually the thyroid, but actually more of a liver or a gut imbalance. And subclinical thyroid issues will impact egg quality. Anything there you wanted to say about subclinical?
Yeah, just, we see this, we see thyroid imbalance all the time and it comes in so many different forms. And ultimately the end result is the same, right? So whether it's a big enough thyroid issue that your doctor wants to do something about it, or we've got some other subclinical issue, the end result is not quite enough thyroid hormone getting into every cell. And we really need adequate thyroid hormone in every cell in order for our body to control our metabolism, body wide, and in order for our bodies to direct enough resources to our reproductive system in order for ovulation to happen, in order for our cycles to be regular, and in order for us to be able to achieve pregnancy and then to be able to sustain a pregnancy as well.
And so really how to optimize thyroid health. So this is part of our Fat Fertile method. We're always looking to optimize thyroid health, and really by addressing gut infections, looking at blood sugar balance, which we talked about a lot during this series, was one of the factors that can impact egg quality. And then hormone balance or hormone imbalance. Those are key things to address to optimize thyroid, and also getting honest about mental emotional stress. Anything you want to say about those?
Yeah, just, it's really important that we address everything we can from every angle. And that's the whole name of the game. That's the whole everything with the Fab Fertile method is like, we're trying to reduce stress on the body from every angle possible. So you've heard us talk about diet, and you've heard us talk about sleep, and you've heard us talk about exercise, and thyroid health is just one more thing, as is gut health and any sort of mental, emotional stress. We can't just get the diet right, or we can't just get the supplements that we're taking right. We really have to be getting all of it right, or doing what we can in every area to really stack the deck in our favor as far as reducing stress from every angle we can, in order for the body to just sort of, have these weights lifted off of, your weight lifted off of your shoulders, in your body, so that everything can just sort of, the symphony of things that's supposed to be happening in your body can just really play along nicely.
Yeah. And yesterday we talked about on the series with egg health, we talked about diet. And so for thyroid, addressing food sensitivities, again, we see the theme of non-celiac gluten sensitivity, People could also be taking, eating a lot of soy, which that can impact the thyroid, or having uncooked cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli and cabbage and kale. And what are some other cruciferous vegetables? Swiss chard,
cauliflower,
Brussels sprouts. Yeah, cauliflower. Yeah. So having those uncooked could then may impair thyroid health. So want to make sure you can steam those. And then if you want to throw them in your smoothie or, then you can do that. But food sensitivities really see that personalized approach. Typically with the thyroid, like gluten is just not recommended. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about there being antibodies with the thyroid can be elevated, and that suggests some autoimmunity going on. And what we see traditionally is that gluten sensitivity is one of the biggest factors. And this is true actually with any sort of kink in the chain with thyroid production, is that gluten sensitivity plays a huge role. And so if you are experiencing any symptoms of weak thyroid, so, low energy or cold hands, cold feet, sensitivity to cold, bags under the eyes, dry hair, dry or brittle nails, thinning hair, dry skin, any of those things, then removing gluten is the number one easiest. So I shouldn't say easy. It's the simplest thing to do, right? It doesn't require any kind of testing, any kind of digging. Just get the gluten out of there entirely. And in a lot of cases, that makes a big difference.
And if you got those symptoms, like I had those symptoms and my TSH was at 3.5 and I was told everything was normal. Meanwhile, I had all those symptoms with the cold hands and the dry skin and the hair and the fatigue, all of that stuff. And I was dismissed. So it's really important to, obviously you're here right now listening to the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast. We are talking about egg health and really, to be your own advocate and to, your body best. And if these symptoms are off, like that's your body trying to tell you something. And so digging into the food sensitivity piece and then highly recommending looking at taking gluten out of your diet and at least testing it with the elimination diet and see how you feel. And so the next one we have is nutrient deficiency. So there could be a nutrient deficiency in selenium or vitamin D, which is vitamin D can be linked to poor immune function, and also with autoimmune thyroid conditions. Anything you want to say there?
Yeah, just we want to make sure that we're getting plenty of those nutrients in our diet. So again, it comes down to our diet being good and avoiding the things that are causing inflammation. And so things like gluten, for example, obviously we know gluten is a problem, but so not only does it cause inflammation, but it causes our body to be less able to utilize all of the other good foods that we are taking in. So it's really about just, doing everything we can to not only have all the good inputs going into our body, but also, like Sarah, with your case, you knew something wasn't quite right. And that's true for most people that we work with. They know something isn't quite right. And in a lot of cases, we're dismissed. And so don't take you're fine or everything looks good or your blood results were all normal as a final answer. If you know deep down that something isn't quite right, keep searching. And that's exactly why we're here. It's because we know that the doctors sometimes, they're not able to see the sort of more intricate issues that are going on unless it's gotten to the point where it's at a situation where we can diagnose it as a disease.
That's right. And then, so minimizing toxin exposure. So you want to avoid fluoride and chlorinated water. So this will may impair thyroid production and mercury and other toxins. But definitely want to make sure on your shower to put a water filter. Then you can filter out the chlorine in the water, which you're inhaling all those vapors in the shower. So get a $20 or $30 water filter. I have mine from Berkey. My husband, he doesn't use it. He likes to use the other shower head. And then when he comes out, I'm like, I can smell the chlorine in there, but mine smells nice because I don't have that, but he is being stubborn. But anyways, do not try to coach your partner. They'll come over when they're ready. Anything about toxin exposure?
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought up the chlorine and the fluoride. So, those are what are known as halides on the periodic table of elements, and they're very similar to iodine, and our body makes thyroid hormone out of iodine. And so sometimes if we have too many of those other things, especially from our drinking water in our system, then the body will try to make iodine out of those chemicals and it fails. And so sometimes that can be an issue. So it's the fact that, that we're drinking unfiltered water has potential to give us low thyroid function as well.
And then low iron, we see this. So that's needed for thyroid production. You need to actually look at potential gut infections and heal the gut if there's leaky gut or intestinal permeability. We see that quite regularly with low iron on blood chemistry reviews that we're doing.
Yeah. So we do see quite often. It's one of those things that tends to improve itself on its own if we're able to really sort of bring some nourishing, some repair to the gut.
Absolutely. And the last one we have is thyroid support. So you typically, as again, if in the conventional side of things, the first line of defense may be medication. So you may be given thyroid medication or supplement, typically more of a medication, but then it's not addressing all the other issues as to why it's gone off to begin with. To me, the thyroid is the canary in the coal mine of something's out of balance, food sensitivities, gut infections, mineral imbalance, and then it's sort of that downstream effect of all these other things are impacted. Anything you wanted to say there about just doing the medication piece? And also I wanted to say about making sure that supporting the adrenal glands. For me, because of the chronic stress, like my adrenal glands were not in a happy little place. And as I support them, because for me, the first symptom of the thyroid's out is my hair just starts dropping out in the shower. It's like, oh, there goes the hair. Interesting. And so I have people say to me, they've lost like half of their hair, like 50% of their hair that's shedding. Like that's a clue. Like it's not everything is normal. Something's going on. So what did you want to say about sort of the thyroid support with medication, supplementation?
Yeah. So it's number one, it's a big clue, right? And so for anyone to tell you that that's normal for you to lose a lot of your hair is totally wrong. Or for you to tell you that welcome to old age, welcome to being 35, welcome to 40. That's totally inaccurate, right? Those things are not normal parts of aging, or just like feeling like every muscle in your body is so stiff that you don't even, you don't want to move anymore. Those things are not normal. And so if you're having symptoms like that, it's definitely an indication that something else is going on. And when it comes to thyroid issues, the same as reproductive issues and hormone issues, usually those are symptoms of some other problem further upstream, right? And so if your thyroid is off, even if it's subclinical, right, that's a symptom of something else going on. Something else led to your thyroid being off. And so it might be nutrient deficiencies. It might be that we have toxicity from chlorine and fluoride. It might be that we have liver sluggishness. There are all sorts of reasons why the thyroid can be off. And the same is true when our hormones are off. And so ultimately what it means is we need to reduce stressors in the body as much as we can, doing the basic things that we recommend for diet and sleep and exercise and reducing stress. Don't do it. That's when the testing needs to come in. That's when we need to look a little deeper, find out what are those root causes that are contributing to you having low thyroid or low hormones, because ultimately those are just your body sort of giving you clues that something is up rather than actually the root cause in most cases.
Yeah, and medication may be necessary. So it may be part of the equation for you. So it's always like we look at this healing roundtable where we include like your OBGYN, your RE, your fertility coach, your chiropractor, your nutrition practitioner, all of these practitioners, not all at once, because that's overwhelming, but you're in the center, you know your body best. And really a lot of the times with egg health that we myopically will focus on quality of our eggs and what do we do? Whereas we've missed all these other healing opportunities. What's your body trying to tell you? So it's important to, look beyond egg quality. All the things that we've talked about in this series will improve egg quality. It's looking at, what are the missed healing opportunities, thyroid, blood sugar, gut infections, environmental toxins, mental emotional stress, not to get overwhelmed about it. That's why we have the Fab Fertile method. It really takes you through this very systematically to help address these missed healing opportunities and help you get pregnant and have your baby. So thank you for listening to the series, and thanks for Justine for her words of wisdom along the way, and take care, everyone.
Thanks, Sarah.
I wanted to share with you a little more about the Fab Fertile method. So the Fab Fertile method includes functional lab testing. So we have access to lab testing. We ship it worldwide. We include food sensitivity testing using blood, stool testing, looking at the DNA of your stool, hormone testing, looking at urine over the course of a couple days, hair tissue mineral analysis testing, so looking at the status of your minerals, and also blood chemistry review, not to diagnose, but to educate. We're looking at your blood chemistry through functional reference ranges. So they're just for healthy people, and there's a tighter reference range and flags it earlier before it goes to disease. And then all part of the method is coaching. So we really include you and your partner. Unless you're single by choice, then you can do this by yourself. But otherwise, it's for you and your partner to help fast track your chances of success. So this will help you implement targeted diet and lifestyle changes based on the testing. So at the end of the program, you'll either be happily pregnant Or if you do need to go to the fertility clinic, you'll dramatically improve your chances of success because you've optimized your health. And we specialize in tough cases like low AMH, high FSH, premature ovarian insufficiency or failure, and diminished ovarian reserve. And so addressing the reason for the poor egg quality or poor egg health is a key for pregnancy success. And so it's looking at the whole body and digging deeper. What are those missed healing opportunities? And so there's really no downside to focusing on your health. You'll either get pregnant naturally or you improve your chances of success with IVF with your own eggs. So if you're ready to take a targeted, customized, functional approach with your fertility, book a call by going to fabfertile.com. That's fabfertile.com and click on book a free call. This call is for you and your partner. Space is very limited. We have about 4 spots available to work with new couples each month. So go to fabfertile.com and click on book on your free call. I regularly speak with 5 to 10 couples per week who are struggling to have their baby. And although we want to help everyone, we only have 4 spots available per month to work with us. I would like to invite you and your partner to a Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call. And this call is for you if you meet at least one of these criteria. You've been trying to get pregnant for at least 2 years. You've been through at least one failed IUI or IVF. This calls for action takers. If you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. If you're seriously considering working with us, go to FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. That's FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. Then you'll be all booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. You may be taking supplements that instead of optimizing your fertility, may be harming it. That's why we recommend professional grade supplements without harmful dyes, fillers, or top allergens. Simply go to Fab Fertile Store, that's F-A-B Fertile Store.com to receive a 15% discount on our basic supplement recommendations for preconception health. That's fabfertilestore.com. The Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, including show notes and links, provides information with respect to healthy living, nutrition, lab testing, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice and always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.